it looks like Labor now will end up with around 93 seats, maybe 94 at best, in the lower house. To the coalition's likely 44, and there'll be 9 independents as well. As I said, a thumping majority, and with a win like that comes the temptation to think you can do whatever you want. Now, hubris is a good word, and the Prime Minister has gone out of his way, publicly at least, I think, not to show how full of himself he must feel. I mean, if you have a win like that, you're going to be pretty happy with yourself. He actually got out of the country, and that helps. You can rub shoulders with international leaders. You can check your ego in at the front door while shaking hands with whoever you sit next to at the Pope's inauguration. So you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about where you are. Back home, though, well, it's a different story. Now, take our favourite Cabinet Minister, Chris Bowen. He's the Energy Minister who was, locked in on a cold storage during the campaign. We never saw him put away in the fridge, only to be foisted on us the moment that the Labor victory was actually certain. Now, Chris Bowen is claiming a green energy moratorium over the failed coalition campaign to argue, rather poorly in my view, the argument for nuclear. And with a probable 6 years in office, get set for a couple of things. The regional destruction of farmland and native forests as we rewire the nation. And get set for more expensive electricity and the potential for blackouts. Now, Chris Bowen denies all this. Have a look.
Net zero is just, by 2050, is not a policy. It's the bare minimum framework you have to work under. Despite some of the rhetoric and the argy-bargy, there was a swing to the Labor Party pretty much in every offshore wind seat. I take that as well as an endorsement, as I said in an op-ed today, by the silent majority to say, keep going, get on with the job.
Well, there he is. He's claiming that mandate. So get set for all sorts of problems in Australia over the next 3 years minimum. Australia is attempting to do something not tried anywhere else in the world, running a first world economy across a major continent with vast distances between cities and towns and industry on solar and wind alone. There's no going back now. And just like in Victoria, where state Labor claims to have a mandate to spend more than $50 billion on a rail project, federal Labor will now respond to sensible scepticism of the Green Dream with voters. They said, look, the voters wanted it and that's what we're going to do. Chris Bowen is especially up and about making claims like this, quote, one of the great myths of the climate change debate, this is Chris Bowen, is that inner city dwellers support strong climate action and the rest of us are lukewarm. And then he went on with this claptrap. Talking about Sydney, he claims there are, quote, 10 times more solar panels in Blacktown than in Bondi. Now, Blacktown for the rest of the country is in northwest Sydney. Think about that statement for a second. No, a millisecond is all it takes of closure. There are Blacktown is an area full of standalone houses, mainly on blocks of land with large roofs. Bondi is full of apartment blocks. And, if you're well off enough to live in Bondi, you're probably not all that concerned about your power bills as someone who lives in Blacktown. Add to the Bowen hubris, there is our Treasurer, Jim Chalmers. Have a look at his response to media questions about his new attack on superannuation, especially well-managed or self-managed super funds. When he was asked about taxing an asset not sold because of an assumed increase in value, like an ungained profit, here was Jim Chalmers.
This is a modest change. It makes a meaningful difference to the budget, but it still provides very concessional treatment for people with more than $3 million in superannuation, and it helps make the budget more sustainable and fund our priorities.
Now, he's determined to ram this through, and he'll get it through the House because obviously they've now got the numbers and the Greens will support it. This is simply a desperate tax grab and a massive disincentive right around Australia to aspirational Australians. It gets worse, though. Chalmers was also asked about whether politicians and judges, senior military figures, senior public servants who run public service departments would actually pay this new retirement tax if they were, as many of them are, on what's called a defined benefit superannuation pension.
The actuarial calculation is similar to the calculation that currently applies to the changes that the Coalition made when they were in office. There's a formula which is calculated by actuaries and applied by the tax office in a way that is not inconsistent with the way it's currently calculated for some of the changes that my predecessors made.
Well, the Treasurer either doesn't know what he's talking about or he's hoping that questions about defined benefit schemes go away. Take the Prime Minister as an example. Now, estimates if he were to pull the pin to retire this year, head off to the Copacabana beach house, given his length of service in Parliament, he would be entitled to a $350,000 tax-free pension a year for life. Now, the new tax on funds worth $3 million or more, taxed now at 15%, they want to increase that to 30%, is on unrealised gains on amounts over that figure. By its very nature, a defined benefit is just that, defined. It's not speculative, it's not an investment, it's a pension. I mean, these two examples, rampant green schemes nationwide and an attack on profits people haven't even made yet, should serve every Australian as a warning. You got the government you deserve, and Labor, with its tail up, are not going to miss you on the way through.